Prep Test 74, Section 1, number 21. In a study, pairs of trained dogs were placed side by side and given a command such as sit. After both obeyed the command, one dog was given a treat while its partner was given no reward at all. Aww. That's fucked up. Over time, the dog who went unrewarded began to disobey the command. This shows that dogs have an aversion to being treated unfairly. Really? I mean, that's your conclusion that you're going to draw from that? Because I could draw a simpler conclusion other than dogs have some sense of fairness. My conclusion is dogs like treats. And that dog eventually was like, I'm not doing this if you don't give me a treat. I thought I was going to get a treat. The dog might have no idea that its friend is getting a treat and it's not. It just could be that the dog is like, I'm not going to keep doing tricks for you if you don't give me a treat. And it could have nothing to do with fairness. Which one of the following would be most useful to know in order to evaluate the argument? I mean, my question would be, will the dog keep doing tricks forever if the partner next to him is not getting a treat? Like you're saying, well, if we keep giving the other dog a treat, then the first dog's not going to do it. My question is, maybe the dog just wouldn't keep doing the treat anyway, regardless of whether the dog thinks it's unfair that the other dog is getting a treat. So, which one of these is that question? Or which one of these is close as possible to that question? A says, were dogs who were accustomed to receiving regular rewards prior to the study more inclined to obey the command? What's that have to do with anything? What? Rewards before the study? What? I don't know. Confusing. I don't see how that's a good question to ask. B, is there a decline in obedience if rewards are withheld from both dogs in the pair? That's a great question to ask, because if the answer to that is yes, then it undermines the idea that dogs have an aversion to being treated unfairly. It's just like, nah, if you don't give them treats, they're going to stop. If the answer to B is no, that nah, if you don't give treats to both of the dogs, they just keep doing the trick forever. But if you give the treat to one of the dogs and not the other one, then the other one will stop, which is a fact. Then it makes the argument look better. It actually makes the conclusion that dogs have an aversion to being treated unfairly look better. So again, as my answer to B changes, my assessment of the argument changes. Let me do that one more time. If the answer to B is yes, then it makes the argument look stupid. But if the answer to B is no, then it makes the argument look better. So B is an incisive question to ask, because depending on what the answer to B is, yes or no, then my assessment of the argument changes from good to bad. So the answer is going to be B here. C, were dogs who received treats in one trial ever used as dogs that did not receive treats in other? So complicated. What? No, I would honestly be just kind of skimming C, D, and E here because it's so clear to me that B is going to be the right answer. B changes things. B is an important question to ask because it changes the validity of the argument. C is complicated. I read it and I just go, I don't even know what you're talking about. Goodbye. D, were there any cases in which the dog who was given a reward became more inclined to obey the command? I'm sure there were, but that's a stupid question to ask. What's that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with fairness? E, how many repetitions were required? It's like, who cares? The number of repetitions has nothing to do with whether this is caused by fairness or not caused by fairness. The answer is B because it changes my assessment of the argument. Again, as my answer to B changes, my assessment of the argument changes. That's why B is useful to know when we're trying to evaluate the argument. This is an evaluate the argument question.